No vídeo, Patricia Cornwell, a mãe de CSI, link na descrição, contei um pouco a respeito da vida dessa autora e, por conseguinte, do seu estilo de romance policial, o qual é focado nas evidências, bem ao modo de séries de investigação, como a mencionada no título, por exemplo, ou de outras do mesmo estilo, como Bones. Assim como foi contada a origem do Dupin de Poe, do Holmes de Conan Doyle e do Poirot de Agatha Christie, será contada agora a origem de Kay Scarpetta, personagem criada por Cornwell. Apenas a título de curiosidade, Marcella Farinelli Fierro, mencionada neste e no vídeo sobre a vida de Patrícia, é uma médica legista que serviu de inspiração para a criação de Kay Scarpetta. E Nils Vander, mencionado ao final do vídeo, é um dos personagens criados por Cornwell. Trata-se do chefe da seção de impressões digitais nos livros da série. A própria Patrícia, em uma entrevista ao canal About the Offers TV, conta a origem da médica legista saída de sua imaginação.
I was married the first time to Charlie Cornwell, and he had gone to graduate school at UVA, and you know what that is, University of Virginia in Charlottesville. And we were living in Richmond, and he was always telling me these wild stories about a landlady he had in graduate school, whose last name was Scarpetta. And just this real character. But and I don't know anything much about her except that I thought, what an amazing name. I loved the name Scarpetta. And I thought, what would that be? Would it be Spanish? Would it be Italian? And I decided that was going to be the name of my character. And then I decided to make her Italian because I wanted her to cook Italian food, because I love all things Italian. And so, and then I said, and in fact, I was talking to Marcella Fierro about this way back in the day, and about using the name Scarpetta. And she said, well, you should have a really short name then, maybe Kay. I said, I like that. That's a good idea. So there she was. Kay Scarpetta was born back in 1984, long before she got published. I was working in the morgue. You know, I was writing crime novels, and I wrote 3 before that. All of them got rejected, one year after another. And then I was another year working at the morgue as the last book had failed. And so this went on. And then in the late 80s, these serial murders started in Richmond. And it was absolutely horrifying. Everybody was terrorized because they were people minding their own business in their homes. The victims, you know, nobody could say the victim had it coming, or they did something wrong, or they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, these were just people living, and someone's climbing through their window. And so I was working at the ME's office when that was going on, and still writing these books that weren't working. And someone had given me the advice that you need to, we want to see what Scarpetta really sees. I mean, make her the main character. And what do you really see at the morgue? I don't think you see the kind of stuff you're writing about in these books. And it's because it was too painful for me. I did not want to let my imagination loose on what I was seeing every day when I was helping out with the autopsies down there and all the rest of it. And then these crimes began. And I didn't start the book right then, but after the person had been caught and all the rest of it, I thought, what would Scarpetta do if this happened on her watch? How would she handle it? And then I asked myself a question. Is it possible that you can write books about crime and not trivialize it or celebrate it? Because now that you've seen what you've seen, you could not bring it upon yourself to do that. That's why I used to get mad when people called my books mysteries, because I said, you don't call it a mystery when there's a dead body on a table. And so I thought, okay, there's only one way to do this. I'm going to have to do it in a way that's unflinching. If I'm going to show you this, I'm going to show it to you the way it is. I'm going to show you crime for what it really is. And I'm going to show you the good people that solve it. And I'm going to do it through this character, because as long as you have Scarpetta in the room, you'll never lose the humanity of what you're doing. Otherwise, it's really easy to cross the line and maybe try to celebrate what should be condemned. Not only just writing about it, but having some way to have exposure to things, because that creates feelings. And I'm going to give you an example of something happened when those serial killings were going on back in whenever it was, 1988 or something like that. And I was still of course, still working there full time. And I remember I was driving either to or from the office at a quiet time of the day, and I saw this car was circling our building, and I saw these two people, two Asian people looking out the window, and I realized they were probably the parents of the most recent victim, who was a 15-year-old Vietnamese girl whose parents had moved the family to America to raise her in a safe place. And this dude climbed through her window while the parents were home, and they found her, the next day in her room. And I mean, it's like the worst thing you can ever imagine this kind of stuff could happen. And I saw the look on the faces of these two people as they're staring at this 4-story stucco building. And I'm sure they're wondering, what's happening to my daughter in there? And when you've seen the husband who's picking up the box of his wife's cremains, ashes, at the front desk in the lobby. And these people who, unlike me, they didn't walk through that door because they wanted to. Nobody wants to walk through that door, except I did, because I wanted to see what goes on in there. And what I say to anybody that wants to write about anything, try to put on those shoes, so to speak. Do something to see it for yourself. That's what autopsy means, to see for yourself, autopsia in Greek. And go see for yourself, because then you're going to feel something at you, and you will remember things in a way that you won't otherwise. That's what makes it real and palpable. I'll be working on a scene, and then that Scarpetta's got to talk to somebody. Who's calling her? Hello, and then, well, who's this dude calling her at 3:00 in the morning? Because there's been another one, as he puts it, in postmortem. And then you got to figure out who that is, and that becomes probably some combination of a lot of detectives. I used to, if you look behind me right here, you see my police hat back there from when my shoes. I still have my police shoes. See, those are my shoes I wore back on the beat. And so I would ride with the detectives every weekend to put in my hours, because I hated wearing the uniform, because all I really got to do was direct traffic, light flares, and take dog bite reports. So I would go plain clothes and ride with the detectives on the weekends and take notes for them and do stuff. But, and this is, anything that was available to me, I would try to go do it to learn. And so that's where the characters come from. You hang around with detectives and you get to know them, or you hang around with the lab workers and you meet these characters, and then somehow one of them becomes Niels Vander, who's always going up and down the hall with the ink stains on his lab coat, who's the fingerprints examiner. And these people, I don't really always know where they come from, but I don't think it would happen if I didn't go out and meet real people.